Hey guys, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from theshrinkingpastor.com.
And together we are, the three of us,
Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
We said we weren't going to do that.
I know.
Let's do that again.
Well, okay.
Hey guys, Scott from Aristocob.com.
And Seth from theshrinkingpastor.com.
And together the three of us are... Anyway, hey, how y'all doing? Good to see you.
Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
Hey, that's right. Happy day after April Fool's Day, which is, you know, in our family, actually a very significant day, and that's because it happens to be this one's birthday.
Hello.
Happy birthday, boy.
Thank you.
A day late.
Thanks.
How many are you now?
29. No.
Where did those years go?
Well, I don't know. Time?
I still remember we were living at the time in a duplex. We had duplexia, and your Aunt Marcy was living in the other half of the duplex. And I had, unfortunately, had my license taken away from me because I got into an accident the day after my license expired.
Oh,
and,
man.
So I was driving on an expired license and had my license taken away for...
They don't care for that, huh?
It was like a month. It wasn't a big deal, but it was a big deal, right? I knew better. I just wasn't a good time manager. And so my sister-in-law had to take us to the hospital when your mom went into labor. And that was a humiliating thing to have happen for your first child to be born. She was going to be there anyway. She may have even driven anyway, but the fact that she had to be the one that drove, I didn't like.
Mom could have driven.
That's true. She's the kind of lady who would have done that too. Anyway,
she would.
I'm going to light up. What are we smoking?
Yeah. We've got some Plenta Baldeez. But
I bought this.
Plenta Baldeez from Strauss Tobacconist.
I bought this while I was visiting the CAPS group several months ago. And I hadn't had a chance to try it yet. And in the time since I got it, now I've lost the ability to interpret what the thing says.
Oh.
So I hope we don't like it because I don't know that we could get more of it.
Yeah, it's just Plenta blah blah. Clearly.
Excuse me, can we get some more of that plantar fasciitis, please?
Yes.
It's delicious.
Real quick, you just mentioned something about a LighterBro.
Oh, yeah.
We keep finding things that
we don't like about it.
We don't like.
You know, I said that I didn't like the size because I typically like to keep the small Bic in my pocket. It's obviously a big Bic. I don't like that it's not a lockback knife. Probably the only thing on here that I would ever use is scissors. And I picked this up this morning, and it was freezing cold.
Or for me, the screwdriver that doubles as a poker.
Yeah. But it was freezing cold. And Seth said, well, you know, we did leave it in the shop. Well, I left it in the shop. This is where I do some smoking. I might have left it in my van. That's where I do some smoking. It would have been freezing cold. So, again, this is a fail for me. Mm-hmm. We'll leave it here. We'll use it, but not my choice for... I'm not recommending this tool.
Not ideal for a smoker's tool. Good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of smoking tobacco we have no knowledge of, we have something interesting today to share with you guys. That is, I'm a part of something called a tobacco pass. MetalheadYcigarguy started this pass a little bit ago, and it's passed to a few people. What he did was he started by filling this box with tobacco tins. He sent it to the first guy on the list, and that person opened it up and went through it, shot a yabo, posted it on YouTube, and out of that selected a couple tins. Put a couple in place of the tins he took out and sent it to the next guy on the list, and so on and so on. So it's now my turn. I know, having watched the prior guy's video, I know everything that's in here except for what he took out.
That's right.
And what he added. And then we have some tins to put in here to replace whatever we take out. So let's just cut into this and see what we got.
Tobacco has a pretty rough cut. I'm having a hard time keeping it lit.
Okay. So there's also a few non-tobacco products added in here that various folks along the way have added, and I'm thinking I'm going to throw a few things in here too, non-tobacco-y. But we have a couple of leather pipe stands.
Cool.
Right? We got some of these from
Basil.
That's coming up in a few weeks too.
I know. This is
Oh yeah, right there.
from Basil.
This is one I bet Boy's going to want to pull out of here. This is Frog Morton on the Town.
You're singing it right now, aren't you?
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Here's another pipe stand. Oh wait, this has come off. Shoot. Okay, I know what this is. This is a striker strip from a tin that was converted into a match box. Check that out. But that has come off, probably again from cold. You want to open that up and check it out?
Sure.
Shoot, what a shame. I tell you what, we're gonna put that we're gonna put that striker strip inside the box, right? So whoever pulls this out, it might even be us.
Okay.
Whoever pulls it out, it's inside the box now. Let's see. We have some Mac Baren Old Dark Fired Hot Pressed Pipe Tobacco. We've got Gaslight. We got some Roma Vita Mita Vegemin.
Vita Mita Vitamite.
Westminster. By the way, these last couple I pulled out of here are Sutliff tobaccos. English Oriental Pelican.
I don't know about you guys.
Who names these things? And it's not going to taste like Pelican.
Well, I hope not. All right, we've already established that it doesn't normally. But is it just me, or does this look like a sardine can? And with the Pelican on front, it just doesn't seem like they're helping themselves out all that much.
Let's see. I've been trying to avoid the newest ones, but maybe I already pulled it out. Honey and chocolate from Mac Baren. You know, I like that, but it does not taste like
Never does.
honey or chocolate.
Never does.
Drew Estate meat pie. We would have been pulling this out if we hadn't have already purchased some of that recently.
Yeah, we've smoked that on a previous video.
Dunhill Mixture 965.
Doesn't taste like meat or pie.
No. Three Nuns, 7 C's, and finally University Flake.
A partridge and a pear tree.
Oh, you know what I did not avoid? You know what I failed to... I was looking at the wrong column. So what happens here is we write down what it is we took out and what we put in. So the last guy that had have this was Jay Piper, and he took out of it the Three Oaks and the Multa Dolce, which I'm glad he took that out because how many tins of that have we had? We've had a lot of that, so that would have just stayed in here. He put in the Gaslight and the Westminster. So I did a poor job of avoiding the new tobaccos. So now we have to decide what we want to take out of here, and I know what we're going to put in. What we're going to put in is this, which I'm not showing you because that's for the next guy's Jabo.
That's right.
But this is a North Carolina-based tobacco manufacturer, so we figured that needs to go in here for sure. And we're going to put in one of my favorites, and that is an English, one of my favorite aromatics.
Lane 1Q.
That's not Lane 1Q.
Oh.
That's not Lane 1Q.
Let's see what you did there.
So I think whoever, if you like aromatics, if you hadn't had this, you'll enjoy this. All right, so, and then we also have a couple other North Carolina non-tobacco items that we'll throw in. So the next person or two, feel free to take one of those. But don't show it. Don't show it.
Okay. I was asking if you wanted to.
No.
Okay.
Feel free to take those out with no need to replace them with anything, unless you have something interesting from your neck of the woods you'd like to replace it with.
Yeah.
All right, so this pass will be heading back on. I don't know if we'll get this out today. It's Saturday, coming up on noon, so maybe we won't be able to do that. We're recording this on a Saturday, by the way.
What?
And
but it's Wednesday.
So it'll be out on Monday to the next guy on the list. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody who's participating in this, and keep watching this as it rolls along through the community. All
Yeah.
right, let's put these back in here for now.
Okay.
We'll continue on. I need to light my pipe again.
Do. The other thing we want to talk about today, Homer and I, last weekend, were judges for an Odyssey of the Mind competition. Wow.
That was not the tobacco.
Wow. Wow. That I don't know how well what it sounded like to you, but to me it sounded like someone was just playing Plinko.
I've decided we're keeping that matchbox.
Cool. All right.
So we'll glue that back together.
Odyssey.
Thanks, Nate. We appreciate that. We'll glue that back on, and we're going to hold on to that.
So last week we were judges at an Odyssey of the Mind competition.
What is Odyssey of the Mind, son?
If you don't know what Odyssey of the Mind is, it is it's a competition for youths, for elementary, middle, and high school. And there are 6 different problems that the children can choose from. So the way it works is a school will gather a team, usually of like 6 to 8 kids, and their team then decides what problem they want to solve. And so one of the problems is always a car-related problem. One of them is a vehicle, yeah. One of them is always a building. One of them is always a play. You have to write and put on a play. And so there are these 6 different types of problems that they get to choose from. And then depending on when they start, they have from then until the competition to solve the problem. So Dad was a judge a couple of years ago. The problem that they had to solve was to create a mousetrap powered vehicle. But there's also...
Fascinating. Because it had to perform a number of tasks, and it had to be able to do that within a taped off area that the kids could not pass into and interact with the vehicle. So, for example, the vehicle had to travel so far from the start line and then raise a flag. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean? And that to me was fascinating because, you hear that and you go, okay, it's going to run to over there, and then somehow or another the vehicle's got to raise a flag. Some of the kids had a flag on the vehicle that was triggered at the 3-foot point, and then the flag would come up. Some had a flag outside of the start line and a little string that was on the vehicle, and when the vehicle hit the 3-foot, because there was nothing in the rules that said where the flag had to be. It's just a flag had to be raised by the vehicle after traveling 3 feet.
Some they have the flag at the 3 feet mark, and
that's right.
It hits it and it pops it up.
I mean, and to see how the kids interpret the rules and the challenge is really fascinating. So
yeah.
I was asked by a buddy from work who has been involved for years and years if I wanted to be a judge again this year, and I said, yeah, I would like to be, but I'd also love for Boy to come because I called Seth part of the way through that previous one that I was judging and said, you need to get down here and check this out. This is really cool. So
yeah, and so I went and it was cool. And I've got one of my best friends is an engineer, and while he was in engineering school, he would call me up all the time because I'm very good at problem solving and troubleshooting, but some of the specifics I just don't care enough about to be good at. And so he would have these things in his engineering courses where he would have to mathematically prove that the mousetrap car is going to stop at 3 feet. And he would do it in the math, and then would actually
the diameter of the wheels.
That's right, and the friction, and he'd have to do all of the calculus and all of the physics involved, and then would build it, and it would stop at the 4 feet mark. And so he would call me up kind of frantically last minute and say, okay, this should work on paper. It works on paper. What would you do to fix it? And I would help. I would say, well, add rubber, do this, shorten this, and he would do all these things to make it work in the real world.
From the mechanical side, you could see that he's losing traction, his wheels spinning or whatever.
Yeah, even though on paper it should have worked. And so I loved the opportunity to get to go and judge this competition. Well, This one that we did, the children were supposed to create a vehicle that can be manned and driven by...
Has to be manned by at least
manned
one person.
driven by one of the characters. It had to create... it had to complete a certain number of tasks, and there had to be a GPS involved, and the GPS had to be on the vehicle, and the
on the vehicle, right?
Sound had to be speaking from the vehicle. And the other part of the Odyssey of the Mind solutions that's interesting is they don't just solve the problem, but they put on an 8-minute long skit where they're solving the problem. So they're writing a script.
The theme of the skit was passing a driver's test.
That's right. They're writing a script. They're creating costumes and sets, and all of that is judged as part of it. And so it was really cool.
So you could have people on the team with different interests and personalities. Maybe they were more inclined to the arts, and so they did the backdrops and the clothing, or wrote the scripts. Very often, the kid that wrote the script had nothing to do with the vehicle, and the kids that made the vehicle were the mechanical types that couldn't have written a script to save their life. But they worked together on it.
So each team has a coach that's supposed to help guide them through, but the kids are supposed to do the whole thing. They do all of it. So a coach can show them, well, this is how you use a drill press. But then the kids actually have to do that for the pieces of their vehicle, pieces of their set. So it was a lot of fun. It was interesting. There were a couple that were heartbreaking. One in particular, the kids had made this battery-powered scooter, and somehow the battery hadn't charged overnight. And so they were on it, and it was just going, and they had a complete breakdown, and they just said, time, we're done. Even though they probably could have worked through some of the stuff and gotten some more points.
Right. They could have pushed the vehicle and lost points
for the vehicle, but still done the skit and gotten points for that.
But they didn't know. They had no mental idea for Plan B.
That's right. And then some were just a Barbie car wrapped in aluminum foil, that like a Power Wheels car.
I mean, the very first sentence is design and build a vehicle. So right off that, the spirit of the competition, they got dinged on points for that. The other one that I thought, we saw this vehicle and we all just sort of immediately look at each other, and it's like, these kids did not design this. They did not build this. Yeah. And some of the details...
it was a Franken vehicle.
Like some of the details that were welded, and were welded well. And not that young kids can't weld. They could be taught, like Seth said, the coach or one of the dads could show them, all right, here's how you lay a bead and here's how we clean it off. This was done by somebody who knew what they were doing. So Seth, at the end, as a judge, we interview the kids and ask them things like, what was the most challenging part of the build? Or, how did you come up with this solution? And you could see the one father in the background taking way too much interest in what the kids were saying. And you could tell that he was the one that obviously lent a lot of help to the kids. And I believe it was his son who fessed up that, oh yeah, my dad and my grandpa, they helped us. They did this part and this part.
Yeah, so we weren't the liked judges that day, because we ended up having to deduct points from teams. The other thing is, we were very strict on what the rules say and how the rules say certain tasks had to be performed. Because the winners of each group for each problem will go on to the state level competition. We were judging the regional level, and so they'll go on and they'll be even more strict. And then if they win that, they go to nationals. So
we do nobody any favors by saying,
being kind.
Well, even though it says the vehicle needs to pick the thing up without stopping. And even though they stopped their vehicle and then they reached out and grabbed the thing, well, let's go ahead and give them the points for that. Yeah. Well, no, it said the vehicle. That was
pick it up
at the top line. So it was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
If you find out this is going on anywhere near you, I recommend that you
go
and watch it. It's open to the public, and or get involved with a group as
a coach,
as a judge during the competition. It is so much fun. The thing about this, and there's another one called Skills USA that I'm involved in. For years and years and years, I would see that pop up on the news that this took place today. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't know this was going on. I wish I would have been involved in it. And then the next year comes along and the same thing happens. if you don't actively search these things out, you'll always be catching them on the news after the fact. So
you've probably missed your opportunity for being a judge for this year, but definitely look as the
check out your state
fall
competitions.
Well, actually, to be a state judge, you have to have been a regional
to go
judge.
see them.
Oh yeah, Go spectate. There's a spectating place. It's cool. And like I said, they do challenges for everybody. So if watching the cars doesn't interest you, go and watch the play. Go and watch one of the other things. So I think this year, the build something, they had to build a bridge that has to take a certain amount of weight.
Balsa wood.
So it's a cool thing. I'm grateful we got to take part.
Balsa wood, which is actually a hardwood. Ooh, did you know that?
No, but it's so light.
It's a hardwood. Well, poplar is a hardwood, and yet it's incredibly soft.
The things you learn.
Yeah.
Visit woodwishes.com. All right, I think that about does it for this episode, guys. Hope you didn't get pranked too hard yesterday. And
I hope that you did.
Well,
tell us all about it in the comments section. And make it a great day.
See you next week.